Now time for the 7 things you'll be talking about today. Number 7.
U.S. Representative Terry Sewell and congressional candidate Shamari Figures, I guarantee you, will be out there touting this. So just be aware of it. They will be out there touting this, that they got Fs from the NRA. The NRA, the National Rifle Association Political Victory Fund, gave them Fs, an F rating for opposing gun owners' rights. In contrast, Alabama's conservative lawmakers, Barry Moore of Enterprise, Robert Adderholt of Haleyville, Dale Strong, my congressman from Monrovia, and Gary Palmer of Hoover, all awarded A ratings. Representative Mike Rogers, a Republican out of Sacs, smack down from Sacktown, he received an A+. And Figures' opponent, Caroline Dobson, in District 2, they were all awarded high marks for their support of the Second Amendment protections. So they care about the Second Amendment. Figures, Sewell, not so much.
Number 6.
Sticking to that race in District 2, the newly redrawn gerrymandered congressional district drawn specifically to get a black Democrat into office and whittle the House Republican majority down. Well, they discussed the presidential debate yesterday. Republican Caroline Dobson and Shamari Figures, the Democrat, offering up starkly different views on that debate. Now, each backed their party's nominee, no question about it, but I thought it was very interesting to look at how they did this. Dobson criticized Vice President Kamala Harris for downplaying issues like inflation and immigration, while Figures praised Harris for presenting a strong, hopeful vision and argued that Trump's debate performance was incoherent and disconnected. Again, it shows the state of the race, where it truly is style versus substance. I don't like that breakdown, but that's pretty accurate.
Number 5.
What's going on in Alabama schools? Help me out here. For the second time in 2 weeks, a teacher was removed for being intoxicated at school and charged with a crime. After Brandy Michelle Bomar, a substitute teacher, was removed from Priceville High School on Wednesday for intoxication and later charged with public intoxication and illegal possession of prohibited liquor with a bond set at $1,000. You got a problem if you're drinking before you go into a school to be a substitute teacher. This woman needs some help. Last week, Coach James Stephen Cox was arrested at the Lloydwood Education Center in Northport after an altercation with the student. They then found empty cans of alcohol at his desk, leading to the charge of public intoxication. Did this guy pick up a 6-pack on his way to work? What in the world is this? How weird. Getting drunk before you go into school or getting drunk at school? What are they, teenagers?
Number 4.
Alabama schools continue to face a surge in threats in local school systems around the state. Multiple teens have been charged statewide in the past week following a high-profile school shooting in Georgia that killed 4 and injured 9. Law enforcement is taking all these threats seriously, obviously, with at least 7 teens arrested in cities like Birmingham, Dothan, Eufaula, and Montgomery as part of a broader effort to ensure school safety as the threats come in, and at least one is facing charge of making a terrorist threat in the first degree. Coleman schools also impacted by this as well. So it's all over the place. You got to nail these kids to the wall on this. Every single one of them. If they've done something like this, I don't care if it's a joke or they're screwing around. I'm not saying lock them up and throw away the key, but you got to punish them. You got to make this hurt. And if you need to, find out what these parents are up to, too.
Number 3.
Haitians, quote, eating pets, end quote, is trending on the internet. People are looking into that. That's one of the main things that came out of that debate. Hammer on Donald Trump all you want. Oh, he's talking about things that aren't 100% true, because I guess there aren't a bunch of people eating pets on the town square in Springfield, Ohio, so you can't talk about it. But the media demands you stop caring about it. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine is sending law enforcement and $2.5 million in healthcare resources to Springfield, Ohio, which has seen an influx of Haitian migrants. Are we allowed to care about that? The amount of money being spent on this? The fact that they need new law enforcement there to deal with it? That seems like a bit of a problem with our process, that we're inviting people into the community that are causing these problems. But they don't commit more crimes. Clearly, there's a problem. Mike DeWine disagrees with you. He's one of the good Republicans in the eyes of the media. And he's saying this community has been impacted to the point where they need to send in cops and healthcare dollars.
Number 2.
During Tuesday's presidential debate, Vice President Kamala Harris falsely accused former President Donald Trump of denying families access to in vitro fertilization and specifically claimed states like Alabama were interested in banning the process outright as part of the broader attempt to make Democrats' abortion obsession more palatable by pretending that IVF is something they care about. They do not care about IVF. I know, they're lying. That's how it works. Trump defended his record and the state of Alabama, citing swift action taken by Alabama's leaders. Alabama leaders have spoken out about this as well in the last couple of days and said, look, when this issue arose, we dealt with it quickly. Why can't the media tell the truth on this? When IVF popped up, the supermajority Republican legislature, the most conservative, allegedly, in the nation, said, okay, we're going to deal with this, and we're going to deal with this immediately. Instead of praising them, they lie about it in order to hurt Donald Trump and Republicans nationwide.
Now, time for the number 1 thing you'll be talking about today.
All right, so yesterday I told you guys about the snap polling that basically said, look, the people who watched the debate thought that Kamala Harris won the debate. I disagree with that, okay, but I'm not a poll denier. I never have been. So I look at that information as it comes in, and I say, this makes sense to me. This is what people feel. Fine, I understand it. Don't like it, but I understand it. But it seems that there's a bit of a gulf between pundits and undecided voters about how they perceived all of this. So the pundits who want to persuade these undecided voters and the undecided voters themselves are seeing things a little bit differently. A New York Times headline laid this problem bare by stating this, quote, pundits said Harris won the debate. Undecided voters weren't so sure. It noticed that Harris appeared more presidential to the talking heads, but voters still felt she didn't provide enough detailed policy answers, especially how she would get her proposals through a polarized Congress. Well, she didn't offer up any proposals, so I don't know how she's going to get those through. But you know what this tells me? And I find this to be kind of intriguing. It tells me that the issues that Donald Trump was talking about, while they were full of bluster and businessman BS, I'm just going to frame it that way. That's how it looked to me. What was full of bluster and businessman BS, he was actually hitting on things that your average American actually cares about. The cost of groceries. He talked about cereal and eggs and bacon and all this other stuff. In the media, immigration is down, they tell you. Yeah, but it's still up 20%. They're eating your pets. Well, actually, they're not actually eating your pets on the town square in Springfield, Ohio, so how dare you say something? Yeah, but we have massive immigration causing problems all over the country, and we're all seeing it, and you're more concerned about whether there are pets being eaten in mass as opposed to accepting that, yes, importing third world countries makes your country third world. You have all this stuff that you have to think about. And I just think that the media missed the point. So that's where the pundits and the undecided voters, they're pretty far apart. And there's some stories and polling out that indicates that that's happening. So we'll see how the polling breaks down over the next couple of days. What Nate Silver comes up with, the polling guru or whatever you want to call him, predictor guru. We'll cover that when it happens as well. So I appreciate everyone bearing with us on all of that. We got a lot to get into, and the best way to let your voice be heard, well, it's all very, very, very simple. You can do it right here or right now. 866-494-WVNN. That is the ScoutPestControl.com WVNN hot take text line. You can talk or text and get that in there right there. You can also email us, Dale at WVNN.com. Right there on the downtownrescuemission.org email inbox. Get your thoughts in. We'll get to all of them next. Phone calls as well. Stay tuned.
Get WVNN's Dale Jackson's 7 Things You Should Be Talking About Today right in your email box every morning. Go to yellowhammernews.com and sign up today.